And our Marky Martin has been on the scene for hours now. She is working to gather the latest information. Let's check now back in with her, Marky, and the big development tonight within the last few hours. I don't know, I've lost track, is that one hostage has been released uninjured.
Yeah, Ruta Bay, we're now going on hour 9 of this. This hostage situation has been happening just down the street behind me here. And you're right, that hostage was released just 5 minutes ago. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas tweeting, "Prayers are being answered. One of the hostages in the synagogue has been released uninjured. 3 more to go." I talked with the Colleyville mayor and offered the full assistance of the state of Texas. So, Ruta Bay, it does seem as though Governor Greg Abbott has knowledge that there are 4 people inside, including that rabbi. And as you've been having conversations with, in experts in a variety of fields, they're hoping that that one hostage release does lead to the release of others.
And Marky, what are you seeing on the ground right now? Are people still gathered where you are?
Yeah, so anybody who's just tuning in will paint the picture here. That synagogue is down the street. Right now, the media is being staged probably a few blocks away. I'd imagine we don't even have eyes on the synagogue from here. It's a lot of media outlets. It's a lot of local stations going live here throughout the day. It was a lot of community members of the Jewish community who are stopping by just to acknowledge what is happening down the street. This is a neighborhood. I know it's dark. It's hard to see. Colleyville is a very family-oriented neighborhood suburb of Dallas. And in fact, you see that police unit just behind me here. They're actually starting to turn away a lot of cars. I mentioned earlier this neighborhood has been evacuated just in response to what's happening inside the synagogue. And it seems as though a lot of the homeowners probably on this street who were told to go away for several hours are coming back to see if they can go back home tonight. We're seeing a lot of cars being turned around by local Colleyville PD here. Certainly a sign that the situation inside the synagogue is still active and is still ongoing. Ruta Bay.
And we're even seeing some movement behind you. I don't know if that means anything. Some law enforcement vehicles were driving through the shot there behind you. We know that that neighborhood has been evacuated, and so many people across the country, across the world, across the spectrum of the Jewish faith around the world are waiting with bated breath to see what happens here tonight. Do we have any indication if there will be a press conference soon or anything of that nature? We know that law enforcement has been releasing Twitter statements and some press releases. I know they're kind of in a bind here because they're dealing with this situation as it unfolds as well. But do we know if we'll get an update from them at any point?
Ruta Bay, we have not been told of a press conference happening this evening. As we know, it's all hands on deck. I'm sure Colleyville is using a good portion of their resources tonight to keep what is happening here, okay, and make sure that everything is all right here. As far as the movement that you just referred to, we've seen Colleyville PD driving back and forth kind of all day, all evening long, talking to one another. We don't know of a press conference that's going to happen tonight at this time because it is still active. But again, this started Shabbat. This Shabbat service started at 10 o'clock this morning. Police called in at 11. So this is going on 9 hours of this. And for folks who know, this is a very special time of the week for the Jewish community. I just got off the phone with an old photographer of mine in Oklahoma City and his wife. They are Jewish, and they called to talk about Shabbat. This is that weekly holiday tradition. It's the Sabbath. It starts on Friday night with a beautiful Shabbat dinner that's about food and family, putting your phone away, giving thanks for what you have, and then service on Saturday morning. And as a reminder, this is not just a service that was happening here down the street in Colleyville, Texas. This is a service that is happening worldwide this morning at the same time. It's the weekly call to worship. And you brought up a good point earlier, Ruta Bay, that there are 4 people inside. That's not what it's usually like. This is because of the pandemic. A lot of people stayed home and avoided this. Usually this service lasts for about an hour. People will mill around afterwards. Maybe there's food and beverage, and then they'll go on with the rest of their weekend. But because of what is happening with COVID-19, it likely saved a lot of people from enduring what what's going on inside.
And not only that, but also provided investigators with clues because of the pandemic. It was being live streamed, that service, and that is how we know what we know so far about the suspect, his demands, his apparent motivations. And you have to wonder, why did he choose this community? You mentioned it's a small town, it's a small community. We know that the prisoner whose release he is demanding is incarcerated in Texas, but not there.
Yeah, it's not here. Fort Worth is rather close. Colleyville is just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. At this time, we don't know this suspect's identity. We don't know who this person is. We know he's very angry just based on listening to that audio live stream that was live streamed on the synagogue's Facebook page today. He repeatedly talked about this quote unquote sister. We have yet to confirm whether or not they are truly related, but he talks about her being, unfairly incarcerated. He repeatedly brings up Islam. He talks about the fact that he's a family person and that he's going to go down in history. We hear him having conversations between some of the congregants there inside of the synagogue, but we have no idea why he chose this specific place. And in fact, I talked to a man here earlier who's a member of the Jewish community who oversees the physical security of this synagogue. He has no idea either. And in fact, I asked him, I said, "Are you shocked that this happened?" He said, "Unfortunately, I'm not. And it makes me heartsick that I'm not." He said, "We're seeing this type of hate-filled speech happen more and more with the years and as time goes by." He said it's something that they unfortunately experience every day. But at this time, Ruta Bay, we have no answers as to why this synagogue, why this group of people, and why now.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.